Was I super impressed with the win? No. And I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say because you were chirping. You wouldn't stop texting me. This guy, all he thinks about is the Vikings. He's thinking more about the Vikings than he is Green Bay. But all right, guys, welcome back to Borderline Sports Podcast. This is our fourth episode here. So if you've made it this far, we respect your viewership. Had some exciting NFL games this week. Some nice division rival games, and then yeah, just overall a decent slate for or decent games for what the slate looked like initially. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It was interesting. Some of the early games, came down to the wire. And then the afternoon games were also pretty good. So I thought it was a good day of football.
Yeah, some upsets, some changes in the playoff seeding, and yeah, we're excited to bring it all to you. So
Let's kick it off, dude.
so we're gonna start off with our winners and losers for this week. Same segment that we did last week. We're gonna keep it going. Who'd you have for a winner this week, KB?
I took the Lions as my winner this week with the Eagles losing. It basically, guaranteed themselves the one seed, barring any miracles coming down the line. They also looked pretty good in that game, just took it to the Bears from the start. And never looked back really there. And I guess my loser this week, I thought the Raiders were, they ended up beating the Jags, who are also terrible, but at the same time, they dropped quite a bit in their draft pick spot. So be interesting to see if they can still get their QB they're looking for there, if they got to trade up. So I just thought, at this point of the season, with nothing to fight for, I know they're professionals there, but I think everyone that's a Raiders fan kind of is a little salty about winning that game, no matter how good it feels at the end of the day. So that's who I took for my winner and loser this week. And how about you?
Yeah, so for my winner this week, I mean, I think there was a few of them, but I'm gonna go with the Washington Commanders. They had a huge divisional rival win against the Eagles yesterday, and even though I think they had five turnovers in that game, Jaden Daniels threw five touchdowns and came away with a game-winning touchdown pass. I think there's definitely still a little bit of concern with how they're going to do against some of these playoff teams, but that was a big win for them and all but guarantees a playoff spot for them. So I'm going to roll with the Manders for my winner of the week. And then for my loser, I have the Timber Pups, the T Wolves. They got absolutely blown out by Karl Anthony Towns and the New York Knicks, and Towns' homecoming to Minnesota. Their offense is, I think, like something like 28th in the NBA, and their defense is still top five, I want to say, but it's really pathetic over there. I mean, we lost to the Knicks and then the Warriors. We just can't do it. We cannot score on offense. Cat used to be our safety blanket go to when the offense was struggling to get into rhythm because Cat can basically score from anywhere, shoot from anywhere. But right now, Ant doesn't look good. Julius Randle, I mean, dude, just fucking get him out of here. Get him fucking out of here. I'm so done with him. I'm done with DiVincenzo. I mean, I hold on to DiVincenzo, but like maybe just trade both and just start fresh, dude, because this is not it. I know it's supposed to take some time, but I think there's a lot of frustration out there for T Wolves fans.
Yeah, it wasn't didn't Randall have the best game though?
Against the Knicks, yes, but in the game after that, dude, he doesn't try on defense. He literally is gives no effort whatsoever. It's like pathetic, bro. It's literally pathetic. Like everyone has to buy into Finch's defensive scheme if we're gonna kind of do what we did last year and make another run at the cup. But I just or not the cup, excuse me, but the freaking championship, and we can't do it right now. We look bad. I mean, everyone knew that there was going to be a little bit of a period here where we were trying to figure out some chemistry, but I don't know. I'm nervous. Ant's not even playing well, and he was like supposedly our our best player, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I thought they were kind of capped, with Cat on the team. Like he'd been around there, and I thought, going to the conference championship was their ceiling, but I also did not see moving on from him and having, the floor become what it is.
Yeah,
I didn't know how to make that team better. Anthony Edwards is a great player, but sometimes, with a guy like that, um, it's not really about adding someone like a Julius Randle that's also a decent scorer, something like that. You kind of want to fill it out with some guys that can give him the ball and play D. And so, yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
I saw they needed to do something, but it's clear that the move they made was not um the right one, in my opinion. At least it hasn't shown to be so far.
right. Yeah, especially with DiVincenzo, just him being as playing as poorly as he has, he's lost all confidence in his shooting ability. And if I have to see one more fucking Randall ISO pull up, oh my, like deep two, bro, like I don't know, I just can't do it anymore. If I see him flop, lose the ball, he's always out of control. Just I don't know, frustration
I
all
think the
around.
I think the Knicks saw that
Steelers
with him
fan.
too, like he's
Everyone
not,
saw it with him. Why
yeah,
would we even do that trade?
yeah, I don't know. And
I mean, we could have got something better for Cat. That's all I'm saying. You
yeah,
know,
definitely.
and Cat loved Minnesota. Like I don't know why we had to trade him, but is what it is. Let's move
Yeah.
on.
All right,
Um,
first game Thursday nighter. We had, the Broncos at 27, Chargers 34. Home win for the Chargers. Um, I guess I can start with this one. I thought this was a really good game that the Broncos kind of came out hot to start. Looked like the Chargers might be dead in the water. Um, Ended up coming back. Herbert played really good in the second half, and it was basically a tale of two halves. Like Broncos dominated the first, Chargers dominated the second. The free kick fair catch, I had never seen that. I don't think anyone's ever seen that. So it was like happened last time in like the 70s, maybe, So probably not the only one that hasn't seen it. But also something I saw in this game was just Bo Nix is just I don't think he can be a long-term solution at NFL QB. Like he can make it happen, with his legs. He's a decent thrower of the ball, but really doesn't have the greatest arm. He had a deep ball that ended up short down the sideline where wide receiver is wide open, walking touchdown. He completes that. Also, they said on the broadcast he was averaging like 2.8 yards in the air, like just not his offense is not explosive. Um, and they're not throwing the ball downfield. They couldn't really run the ball either. They don't really have a guy like that. They kind of had gotten away all year just by, that defense is insane. Like I would not want to play them in the playoffs just because of that defense. And, they could pick you off 3, 4 times. But I just don't know. I think the Broncos are they overperformed to start the year, and I think they're coming back down to earth while the Chargers are starting to hit their stride a little bit.
yeah, I like all those takes. Chargers now have a 97% probability of making the playoffs with this win. Um, I think they've bounced back here. They didn't run the ball particularly well with Gus Edwards, although I do believe he had 2 touchdowns and then a 43-yard run. And then yeah, that successful fair catch kick. I had Dicker as one of my kickers in fantasy, and when I saw that, I was like, "Wait, what is going on here?" And no, he hit it. But yeah, disappointing loss for the Broncos, especially with how hot they started out. But yeah, maybe a little bit of a comeback to earth moment for them.
Yeah, agreed. Next game were the Saturday games. First one, Houston 19, Kansas City 27. What would you see there?
Yeah. Well, I think, the main thing was the Tank Dell injury, unfortunately. I never really saw a great angle of it. Not sure that I really want to, but you could just tell it was bad by the way he was grabbing. I think he ended up with a torn ACL and a dislocated kneecap. Is that right?
I never
I
heard the
think
final, but
I think that was the verdict. So, um, yeah, it's tough. Tough for him considering he actually had a really good game too, and he held on to catch that touchdown. But um, you know, the Chiefs kind of are starting to round into shape here a little bit, which is classic, right towards the end of the regular season. They look good. I'm definitely nervous for the playoffs because they don't seem like they can lose right now. But there is some other contenders out there that in the AFC that could maybe at least knock them back or give them a good fight. They keep playing teams close, but yeah, I mean, I didn't uh, I didn't have too much else from this game, but the injury was really really rugged. What'd you see?
I thought the Texans looked okay. CJ Stroud had two big picks that, really set them back. They couldn't really run the ball either. Joe Mixon kind of looked like a little slow, a little bit of a shell of himself. I don't know if that was also Kansas City is pretty decent at stopping the run, so probably a twofold there. But I thought the Chiefs did what they needed to do to win again. Um, they got contribution from a lot of people. Hollywood Brown was back. Xavier Worthy was a big part of this game. It seemed like they were just feeding him the ball at one point, like the third, fourth quarter. He was just literally getting every touch. So working him in, good to see the rookie playing well. I thought that was cool. And yeah, I don't know if anyone can beat the Chiefs right now. Looks like they're destined to win again. So, um, I guess that's kind of wrapping that game up.
Right.
Um,
Word on the
moving,
street. Word on the street is probably a three-peat here, right?
yeah, I feel it.
We all hope not, but it just looks like they haven't lost enough to not be still the favorite here. And it's fucking Patrick Mahomes, dude. What are you gonna do? Kelsey looked good in this game too. Had some big catches.
Steelers, Ravens. Steelers were scored 17, Ravens scored 34. I guess I can start on this one. Big game for the Ravens. They won convincingly. I don't think it's super reflective. The Steelers gave the ball away. Um, Russ had a bad fumble pick. Um, but the Ravens were pretty dominant. Henry was a beast, 162 yards. He's just having his way with them. Steelers are a good run defense too. Last week they held Saquon to 60 some yards, so it's not like this is a team that's known to get gashed. And I thought this was, a big game for them. They tied at the top, AFC North right now. A lot of implications going forward for getting some home games, and that's a big thing the Steelers have, or that is that home field advantage. So, um, tough loss by them. I know George Pickens didn't play, but at the end of the day, you gotta overcome some injuries. But what do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think this is a very impressive win for the Ravens, and they seem like they've really caught their footing and are starting to round into form towards the end of the season here. Um, Russell Wilson, didn't have a terrible game, but he's starting to. I mean that pick six that he threw was pretty ugly. Um, there was some fumbles in this game. I think Pittsburgh's kind of fallen back to kind of coming back to earth here. People are starting to have them as Super Bowl contenders. They're starting to seem like more of a wild card team, and maybe a team that could, if lucky, win a playoff game. But the Ravens are starting to look like more of that powerhouse, that top five. Power ranking team, in my opinion. And yeah, Lamar's incredible. Like you mentioned, Derrick Henry, 24 carries for 162 yards. It's impressive. Justice Hill, though, did you see that play where he got knocked out?
Yeah, it was crazy. Looked like he snapped his neck.
Yeah, and of course I started him in my dynasty, or not my dynasty, in one of my fantasy semifinal playoff games. Started him, saw the big run, was all hyped, and then he just body gets contorted, lands on his neck slash head, and like flips around. Looked bad, dude. He looked like he was out cold, but um, yeah, I mean, other than that, nothing. The Ravens got to feel pretty good about themselves, I
Yeah,
would
I
say.
do need to talk about it looked clear and obvious to me that Lamar has been stat padding. Like when he threw that pick, Henry had literally just gashed him all game, and I don't know. It just looks apparent that once they get in the red zone, they're not even thinking about giving Derrick Henry the ball. It seems like they're just Lamar is just taking it in his own hands. I think I've also seen some clips of other people that agree with me on Twitter that, he's doing this for the MVP race. I don't I don't know, but I think it's clear to me that there is a little bit of stat padding going on down there. And as, a Derrick Henry fan and someone that, supports him, I think it's kind of a joke. So I don't know. Did you see that or what?
I didn't see anything about this on Twitter, to be honest, but I believe you for sure. I mean,
Did
uh,
you watch? Basically, it was Henry on two of their touchdown drives, just went crazy, ran them all the way down there. They get inside the 20, and then it's, two, three straight pass plays without even looking at him.
really,
And that was my initial thought. Like when I saw the interception, was that like, what are they doing? Like this is stat padding to a T. And then I went on Twitter, saw a clip with someone, exactly agreeing with me. So I thought I was kind of going crazy with what I was seeing, but there's other people out there that were sharing that belief. So I'll leave it at that.
trying to get him another MVP. That's what you're thinking?
Yeah, I don't know if it's him, canning the play and going with something different, or if it's, you know, Harbaugh actually, making those play calls, but um, it just is something I noticed, and I
Yeah,
noticed it, kind of thought I was crazy, but then my craziness was supported with some other people on Twitter agreeing with me. So leave
sure.
it at that and move on to the Eagles Commanders game, which was probably the best noon game we had.
Yeah.
Um, what did you think about this one? And
Yeah. So for this game, yeah, Eagles 33, Commanders 36. Commanders were my winners of this week. Yeah, I mean, so Saquon had over 100 yards in the first quarter. Eagles were up 2 touchdowns early. Hurts got concussed. And then Kenny Pickett comes in, and Kenny Pickett throws a touchdown to A.J. Brown on a slant. Kenny Pickett also looks weird to me in a freaking Eagles jersey, dude. He reminds me of that old receiver they used to have, like just because I haven't seen like a tall or like a yeah, not even that tall, but just a white guy with long hair on the Eagles in a minute. And he came in and initially looked like they might run away with this game, but then the Commanders were able to find Scary Terry for a deep ball touchdown, and they were really back in this game. The Commanders turned the ball over way too often in that game. I think like I said, they had 5 turnovers, I believe. Um, but at the same time, Jaden Daniels threw 5 touchdowns in that game and had the game winner. So I'm impressed with the young rookie, bouncing back after all those turnovers. With Hurts in this game, is it even that close? Probably not, because Kenny Pickett didn't look that great through a bad pick early on. But yeah, this was probably the most exciting game, I would say, so far. Would you get? Or yeah, so early in the slate, I think that was the most exciting game on Sunday.
yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of a cause for concern, that the Eagles did have, those five turnovers. It still couldn't seal the deal. I get Jaden Daniels lit him up, but Jaden Daniels has been kind of struggling. He really made a case for himself, though, this week for the getting back into the rookie of the year. But before this, the Commanders hadn't looked great for a couple weeks. Last time they played the Eagles. Eagles did beat them, limited to 191 yards, one touchdown. So just a complete kind of breakdown by the Eagles defense. And I get it's hard when you're out on the field because your quarterback's not doing a great job moving the ball, but I don't think Kenny Pickett, lost them that game. They probably win if they have Hurts, but I think the defense really needs to, own that one. And it was a moment where they look susceptible to especially a Lions offense, that is much more dynamic than this Commanders team that's kind of, Jaden Daniels and McLaurin for the most part. Um, and the Eagles, that drop by Devontae Smith was huge. Like that's a middle school catch. Like I could go find people in middle school that could go into the NFL stadium and make that catch. So, having that, is that gonna break his confidence, Is he gonna bounce back? Who knows? I don't really know what the verdict is on Hurts either. Is he gonna miss next week? Um, I think they're basically out of the one seed. They need kind of some magic to happen for them to reclaim it, but um, who knows? But I think the Eagles really need to finish strong to have some momentum going into the playoffs. They got Cowboys and Giants left, so two teams they probably should blow out.
Mm,
And the Cowboys will be a good, even if they're missing Hurts next week, Pickett should have no problem kind of carving them up. So
yeah.
we'll see how next week goes for them, but um, they
Yeah, I
just
did keep going.
I just think they need to finish the year really strong to get some of that momentum back that they had, 10-game win streak had built up.
For sure, for sure. One thing I did see is that, they play the Giants week 18, and if the Giants win that game, then the Giants will fall from a 1 or 2 pick to a 7 and likely won't get their quarterback of the future. So, I could see them kind of throwing that game. Not that the Giants need a whole lot to throw a game, but I think the Eagles should be able to win these next 2 games pretty handily. Although the Cowboys, I think, are no longer they're not eliminated yet from the playoffs. I mean, it's
Not technically,
not
but they would.
technically.
I don't even know what would need to happen. The Commanders would have to
Yeah.
just no, they are eliminated. They are officially eliminated.
Oh, all right, they're dead. Never mind. They're
Yeah.
dead. Um, but yeah, no, there was some big drops in that game. Saquon dropped that wheel route kind of. He just barely lost that out of his hands. Then even AJ Brown had a drop on the right sideline, closest to the camera, and then yeah, Devontae Smith as well. There was some bad drops and you can't do that, and you can't lose a game where you have 5 turnovers, regardless of who's at quarterback. Or where the other team has
Right.
5 turnovers, you have 5 takeaways. Like it's a bad
And he
loss for them, but
and they came in. He came in and they were up 21-7, I believe. So like he still ended up putting 12 points on the board, I think. So he was able to move the ball. He didn't look spectacular. I mean, it's Kenny Pickett. You know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get dink and dunk. And the other thing that changed too was Saquon was not efficient after
no,
the first quarter, basically.
yeah,
So I
he had
think
a
it was 110 in the first quarter, something like that. It finished with 150, like 40
yeah.
yards the rest of the game.
He
So
couldn't. The Commanders were keying in on the on Saquon after that first quarter, and once Hurts went out, as well. You're going to get the dink and dunk, like you said, with Kenny Pickett, but they weren't really able to. Hurts did find AJ Brown on some deep balls, at least one that I know of for sure. But yeah, they weren't able to kind of get the run game going again after that, with no threat of really moving the ball downfield, or big play threat. So from
yeah,
from the passing offense. So,
let's
but
wrap
yeah,
that one up and talk about
yeah.
Lions 34 and Bears 17. What do you see in that game?
Yeah. Main takeaway from this is, the Lions they're not dead by any means. They're still a fucking Super Bowl contender, in my opinion. I know they played the Bears, but their offense was very efficient in this game. Jahmyr Gibbs really taking over that number one role in the backfield. Jameson Williams had a nice um, deep ball touchdown. I think it might have been like an 80-yarder or something. And sorry Bears fans, but you guys are still garbage. They were, at least the Bears were able to score in the first half, which I was surprised about, but um, it's pretty sad over there in Chicago. I'll say that. But then also the one other thing I want to bring up is that trick play that they had where Goff pretends that the Lions had, where Goff pretends to trip. Um, Jahmyr falls over in the backfield, and then deep ball play action, sort of play action fake to Sam Laporta. That was pretty cool. But yeah, that's kind of the takeaway I had from this. I watched some of this game, had it on in red zone, but kind of expected the Lions to win, but I did think their offense looked good without David Montgomery.
Yeah, I thought, this one was over almost immediately. Uh, ESPN's win probability starts at 75 and hits 90, in the first quarter. So tells you all you need to know about this one that never was really close. I thought the Bears showed a little bit of life, especially with like a minute left. They got the ball back, drove down the field, long pass to Keenan Allen. I was actually shocked when I saw that. Like, just figured they're down 27-7 with a minute left. They'd kind of just sit on it, go to half. So at least it's nice to see, a little bit of fight out of them. And they just don't have anything that they can do. They were outclassed the entire game. Um, can't really run the ball. Swift had less than 30 yards rushing, 20 yards. So, when you can't run the ball, it's cold out, and you're playing a team trailing the whole time, you're gonna have to be able to throw the ball like really efficiently. So I think Caleb, I mean, he threw for 334 yards, which is a mostly due to game script, being down 17-0 at the start. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Nothing changed with the Bears, but I thought the Lions showed that they are indeed, and at least they did show too. I mean, I don't think they'll ever have to go on the road this playoffs. They should lock the one seed up, but they showed that, if they do and they go play in the cold, that Goff actually can do it and isn't just feeble out there. So it's kind of all I saw in that one.
Yeah, agreed. Lions still look good. Bears are who we knew they were, but yeah, they did show some fight. I did see that deep ball to Keenan Allen. It was more of a freaking piss missile that Caleb threw as like instead of dropping it in there, but it's still impressive. So hopefully they can still get some good quarterback play for the last couple weeks of the season here to have something to look forward to in 2025.
Next
Um,
next game at noon was Rams 19, Jets 9. I'll start on this one. I thought it was absolutely disgusting that the Jets didn't win this game. They really were in control of it for 3 quarters. Had some interesting coaching decisions where it seemed like they know they're out of the playoffs. They know they're fighting for nothing, so they're just going for it. But um, they had a couple chances towards the end of the half to go up. I mean, their kicker again can't make anything. Missed 2 field goals, I believe. Missed an extra point. It's just crazy to me. This is their second kicker, and they probably are sitting at around 500 if they make a couple kicks. If I'm not, I don't know. I don't think that's crazy. So just insane that the struggles they've had kicking. Um, I mean, Devontae Adams, they went 99 yards on their first drive. So they came out, they looked good, and then after that, it looked like just a different team for the most part. Um, they couldn't really get much going running the ball. It's basically reminds me of watching, you know, Tom Brady towards the end of his career, where it's, we're gonna dink and dunk you, and then we're gonna take some Hail Marys, and the Hail Marys don't convert, we're not gonna do anything. So I don't know. Kind of what do you think there?
Yeah, my main takeaway from this is, I saw quite a few plays of the Jets going for it on fourth down, which like what do they have to lose, honestly? You still have Aaron Rodgers. The one thing I don't like is Aaron Rodgers consistently kind of going for the big play on fourth down versus maybe taking something easier to guarantee you that 4 yards that you need for a first down. I don't like him throwing jump balls on fourth down plays, and I saw that at least twice in this game. I know he's super talented. Maybe I think he might trust his arm a little too much now. But they tried at least. They went for it. Thought it was worth it. But
Just real
um,
real quick on that point, I obviously watching Aaron Rodgers my whole life in Green Bay, it's been the same MO. It's 4th and 2 and they're throwing a fade, and it would drive me insane when they don't get it. But then when they do get it, it's like a touchdown half the time, right? Because everyone's loaded up in the box. So, it's so annoying when it doesn't work because you're like, dude, why did you not just, run the slant to Devontae, the best slant runner in the NFL right now?
right.
Um, but I think the defense also is, they're playing for the slant, so they're running the fade route. And, if he catches it, it's a touchdown. Like I've seen it so many times with them, and it does drive you crazy. But I just wanted to, add it's just how he's always done it my whole life watching him.
Sure. And I think that's totally fair. Obviously, he's, lost a step now, though, where I think he could take maybe a more of a safety blanket on those plays. But if he's been doing it his whole
Yeah,
career,
and I'm not saying it's the right
Rodgers is,
call. I'm not
yeah,
saying it's the right call at all. It's
right.
just I've seen it. I know it's coming.
Yeah.
It's
Or it turns into a pass interference on the defense,
right.
because this
Yeah,
guy's wide open.
right.
But I also just like, unless you're throwing it to Devontae on those plays, like maybe Garrett Wilson, but like the rest of that receiving core is like, I don't know if they're meant for like jumping up and catching 50-50 balls.
I saw a
But
4th and 2 in the fourth quarter to a fucking post to Tyler Conklin. I threw my
yeah, it's a
hands up.
Conklin. That's
Yeah.
what I was.
But I think, dude, that was a pressure got to him, and I don't think, anyone else was even remotely open. He's like, fuck, it's either this or take a sack. So we're gonna try to,
Right,
give it to him. So um
right.
yeah,
Rams,
but
yeah. Rams didn't really look very impressive in this game in any facet, in my opinion.
yeah, I thought it was
Definitely not on
another
offense, but
dude, that's 2 weeks in a row after that outburst they had against the Bills where they just, struggled. And, if they do get that production from Stafford and Kupp and Nakua and Williams where, they can put up 30 points a game, they are a dangerous team. The thing is,
mhm.
I think with them is nobody's scared to go to SoFi at all. They're almost
Yeah.
better off playing on the road and having a little chip on their shoulder. I don't know what you kind of think about that, but I just think they're such a weird team where it's like home field's not good for them.
Yeah, that's fair. I should take a look real quick. What is their record away?
Five and
Five and
three
five and
away,
three away. So they're
4-3 at home.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, they definitely, I don't know, they don't look yeah, they don't look real scary. They don't look like they did before, but or at least in that game against the Bills and then maybe even the week prior, but let's move on from this game.
Yeah.
Um
Browns, Bengals. What'd you
Brown.
think?
Oh man, Browns 6, Bengals 24. My takeaway from this is DTR is electrifying, dude. He is exhilarating. No, but dude, when he runs, man, he just looks so out of control. Like, I don't know who the Browns are going to plug in. I mean, hopefully they get a top pick. They need to take a quarterback, but when he runs, he's just like holding the ball like this, shoulders just going side to side. His pads are like looks like he's about to take flight, dude. Looks like he's Big Bird, like ready to catch flight. But he's a horrible, horrible passer. So
Hmm.
yeah, he can run the ball, but it's like literally everything is like, all right, this is a freaking QB sneak, like regardless. Um, that shoulder pad sleeve combo is not it for DTR. I wasn't familiar with his game, so that's why I'm so surprised. But he looks like he'd be good in the XFL or something. But the one takeaway I had from this, Joe Burrow continues to be amazing. However, he does have a fumbling problem, and his fumbling problem is not minor. He's very easily stripped of the football, and maybe one of the easiest quarterbacks to strip the football from, in my opinion. Could be the O line, not really positive there. But he's got a lot of fumbles. He might not have picks this year. He's got a lot of fumbles. So, but no, he still looked good. And Jamar Chase becomes the first ever Bengals receiver in history to go for 1,500 yards. So, shout
That's
out Jamar.
crazy. That's
Uh,
crazy with AJ Green and, Ocho Cinco both being there.
Yeah, and there's still 2 games left of the season, so we'll see how far he gets with his yards this year.
Did you see the play where DTR, I think it was fourth down or his third down, but he converted the first down and just laid a hit stick on somebody?
No, I don't
Dude,
think so.
it was hilarious. This guy, I mean, I've watched DTR when he was at UCLA quite a bit just because those games are always on at night, and so I'm just fucking bored watching Pac-12 football, RIP. But I thought, he never looked great in college. He was good. He could sling it a little bit. Um, but it's just that speed of the NFL where you can't make those throw to the outside boundaries when you don't have a cannon. So they were really limited all day. That's why you look at their receiver stats, no one went off, and Njoku had a decent game, but he just didn't have the arm to really get people the ball on the edge. Um, it looked like Jerome Ford, should have had him up 7-0 in the first quarter, and I think that kind of would have changed the game quite a bit in my opinion. Ended up not scoring there. Um, and Bengals kind of just had control of it the rest of the way. Burrow, that play, the fumble, if they kick a field goal there, it's over. Um, Gets the turnover, and all of a sudden it's 6-17 with the Browns with the ball and 10 minutes left or whatever it was. So as a Bengals better this game, I was kind of nervous. But DTR came through and threw another pick. So all's good that ends well. And the Bengals give credit to their D. That I mean, they're playing a horrible QB, but they stepped up, kept them to 6, even though their offense didn't have the best day. So, it was a win for the Bengals in that regard. But I guess let's move on to the final noon game. So we had actually there's 2 more noon games. So
Yep.
Giants Falcons. So Giants 7, Falcons 34. What was your takeaway there?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to go back to that. Joe Burrow has 10 fumbles this year. So
Who's second?
I don't know who's second. This is a hard stat to find as well because I couldn't find it on ESPN. Because it just shows like rushing stats
Oh,
versus like
I got
pure.
you. NFL player fumbles, QB, Kirk Cousins, 13. Baker Mayfield, 13. Burrow, 10. Lamar, 10.
That was a lot of turnovers right there.
Darnold's got 8. Um,
And I wonder if those are all lost or not. Does it say that?
it doesn't. It just tells me that I feel like that can't be true.
I don't know
But
if that can be true for all lost
because
fumbles.
I don't think Aaron Jones has 5 lost fumbles.
Oof.
I feel like
I think
I feel like he's got like 3.
he's definitely had three that I think were in back-to-back games where he lost them. Back-to-back-to-back games. Um, but yeah, no, just an interesting stat there. Like I said, Burrow doesn't have the picks like Cousins does. I mean, there's a reason Cousins is fucking riding metal.
Dude, last 5 years, Kirk Cousins has the most by any QB with 48, 16 lost.
Jesus.
That's insane. I guess I don't know. In his defense, he's got the most, but he doesn't have the most lost. Trevor Lawrence has lost 22 of his 36. Hasn't even played all year, basically. So, um,
That's brutal.
yeah. Darnold. 13 lost and 31 total fumbles. That's not very good. Anyways, back to the Falcons Giants. I'll
Yeah.
start here. I really thought, the Falcons would lay it to him here. I thought Penix would be better than he was. He wasn't bad. He looked, he had some zip on his balls, and you saw that with him at Washington. That's no surprise. But he didn't really have a ton of chemistry with anyone besides uh Drake London. To kind of started out. He was feeding him early. Drake London ended up getting hurt in the fourth quarter. RIP. But they rushed the ball. They had no problem just giving it to Bijan and letting him go ham. So Penix did have a pick. Obviously, that was Kyle Pitts' fault. That guy needs to be cut right now by that team. Just give him a chance somewhere else. He he just overstayed his welcome. I think Falcons fans, I'm not one, but I think I speak for them when they say they're sick of this guy. Fourth round pick that or fourth overall pick that just really never panned out. Especially when you look at, I think Jamar was drafted like fifth or sixth that draft. Jefferson was that draft. They passed on some proven wideouts to get this guy who it'd be one thing, I guess, if he was like an elite tight end blocker, but he's not even that. He's just supposed to be this deep threat, this guy that is kind of like what Brock Bowers is doing. But
Right. Like can catch jump balls too, like in the end zone, I
yeah, and
think.
like put him
He
in
just
the
doesn't have
slot.
hands, bro.
He's supposed to be a matchup nightmare, you know what I mean? Like put him
Yeah.
in the slot, this 6'6" dude that can fly, um, and is gonna get covered by the nickel corner who obviously isn't your best corner. That's why he's in the nickel. And then on top of that is usually a little shorter, usually, not as fast. So
Hmm.
I mean, the Falcons dominated this game, and they got assisted by Drew Lock with a two pick six touchdown. So to Phoenix is to be fair to him, he didn't have to do much at that point. Give it to Bijan and let him take over. So um, outside of that, I didn't watch a ton of this game because all the highlights that I saw in Red Zone were pick sixes. So
Right.
I don't know. What did you see or what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, so for one, that pick on Penix was not his fault. All Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts fucking sucks. Yeah, they need to move on. I mean, I don't know if this is just the belief in his physical capabilities for Kyle Pitts or his talent level. That's like why they hold on to him. But like I could see them trading him and then some team with a really good quarterback picks him up and then he actually turns into a weapon maybe later in his career. But yeah, get him out of Atlanta, dude. He blows right now and just never lived up to the hype. But yeah, Falcons defense, 2 touchdowns, started them in fantasy. We love that. That was huge for me. And then, kind of like you mentioned, this game just fell off of red zone at one point. Like I didn't even know if it was still going on. And I think, yeah, the only thing they showed was those 2 touchdowns, and then I didn't see that much. So I really didn't even see too many highlights from Michael Penix Jr. I know he was 18 of 27 for 202 yards and then that one interception, but not terrible, not amazing. Looks like Darnell Mooney was who he was finding the ball to the most, 5 receptions for 82 yards.
Yeah,
And
he
then
had a couple
Bijan,
long ones.
Bijan had 2 touchdowns. So don't even really want to talk about the Giants at all here because
Yeah,
there's
so
not much
just
to talk about.
Kyle Pitts slander. Here we go. Career 9 touchdowns, across four almost full seasons. Not very good. And one pick after him was Jamar Chase, 2 picks, Jalen Waddle, 3 picks, Nay Sewell. Then you got J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, Devontae Smith, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Slater. Like we're talking about almost I mean, Jalen Waddle has been all right. Devontae Smith, pretty good, but like the other guys are superstars, Sewell, Chase, Surtain, Parsons, Slater. Like they somehow messed that up so bad. Like they missed generational talent. And to be fair, I think everyone drafted in front of Pitts was also hilarious. I think that was like Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, and maybe Trevor Lawrence. So they're not the only team to really mess that draft up, but it stings a little bit worse when it's just, you know, right, the next pick is insane. So,
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I just came across it now as well. Yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence remains TBD. Zach Wilson, kind of know what we have with him, and Trey Lance, I don't even know if he's on an NFL roster still.
how is he? He's on the Cowboys, I'm pretty
I'm
sure.
pretty sure he is still on the Cowboys, but I
And
think he lost all of his.
he's not
Yeah,
getting playing time over Cooper Rush. So that should tell you everything you need to know.
yeah, yeah. And there,
Um,
I got something more to say about that later, but yeah, Kyle Pitts, then Jamar Chase, hitting
let's
it
take
4 and 5.
let's take a quick break and then we'll hop into the last noon game and talk about the afternoon games.
Sounds good, man.
All right, so on to the last noon game here. Um, Titans Colts. So Titans 30, Colts 38. Give me kind of what you saw.
Yeah, so JT had an absolute field day in this game. He looked very impressive. The Titans were getting steamrolled, but then they almost came all the way back, somewhat. Um, Anthony Richardson, still can't get that passing percentage, completion percentage up, but he looked, there was some hope in this game. I'll say that. But yeah, no, JT went crazy, man. I thought it was pretty cool. Let's see, what did he end with? He ended up with 218 yards and 3 touchdowns, and a long of 70 for a rush. It's a pretty impressive game right there. He looks back to his old form. What'd you see?
Yeah, he was dominant. I watched him a ton at Wisconsin. Always knew he was legit. Just kind of up and down with him a little bit, injuries and whatnot. But when he's healthy, he's top five running back in the league. He's right up there, with the Saquons, Derrick Henry, that type of player where you can give him the ball, like you said, 30 times a game, and he's gonna bust them. So, that's an impressive, or not, I shouldn't say impressive, but that's above average Titans defense too. Um, and with no threat of passing with Anthony Richardson, 7 of 11, like 11 pass attempts in a game. They're not even trying to stop him throwing the ball. They were daring him to throw the ball. So you got all those defenders in the box and JT still making quick work of them. Really impressive. I did see a lot of, fight out of the Texans, to make that a closer game than it really should have been. It was dominant. It was like 38-15 at the end of the third. So, they fought back, they clawed back and made it a little bit more respectable, but at the same time, they at the end of the day want to lose that game for some picks. And they let Rudolph sling it, 23 of 34, two tutties, three picks. He was throwing the ball around to,
Just in
Ridley
time
had,
for just in
oh
time for Christmas.
yeah, Ridley had a good game, and Okonkwo, I don't even know who that guy is, but every time I looked up, he was catching another pass for a first down, it seemed like. So, um, you know, Titans are the Titans, Colts are the Colts. Neither team's doing much this year, but
Yeah.
at least it was kind of fun to watch some points put up. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I do want to mention, Tajay Spears. Um,
stealing Tony Pollard's shine.
stealing Tony Pollard's shine, but like, so I've seen people with the Guardian caps, right?
Hmm.
That play it with it in games.
Hmm.
Tajay Spears is tiny, man. So with the Guardian cap, his head literally looks like the size of a fucking watermelon. But I mean, he had an okay game. I've had him on my fantasy bench all year. That was the best game he's probably had just because he had 2 touchdowns. But
I mean,
yeah,
if you look at
just
the
kind of interested.
stats, 10 carries, 27 yards, he's averaging 2.7. Like,
No, that's not good, but I'm saying fantasy wise, he
yeah,
had an okay
yeah,
game.
yeah.
Pollard didn't really.
I think Pollard was a little banged up too, which contributed to him getting the ball a little bit more. And he's more of like that third down back. So he was catching a couple passes out of the backfield there when they were down big. But yeah, he does look funny, but I will one up how funny he looks with Achan wearing the Guardian cap. Etienne looks even more ridiculous because he's so fast and so little, just screaming through with that big ass dome thing. So, um,
I'm gonna have to look up a picture of this because I don't know how I haven't noticed it before.
I don't, he didn't wear it this week, but he has at least, 8 to 10 times this year. So I don't know when maybe he was going,
Oh yeah.
yeah, he looks hilarious. But
Yeah.
that
Well, you
was,
can't blame him, but
no, that was the final noon game. I think, or,
no, there's one more. We have
oh, I thought this was the afternoon game for some
the
reason, but
Cardinals Panthers was still a noon game.
uh,
I do believe. Yeah, I'm
let's
pretty
talk about
positive.
this one. So we got Arizona at 30, Carolina 36. I'll start with this one. I thought this was kind of a real big letdown for the Cards. They're playing season on the line, win, still got a chance, lose, you're out. And they go to Carolina and play a team with heart, but really not very talented. Kyler looked horrible. He's really regressed throughout the year. It seems like every year he starts off and he's like so fun to watch, just watching him like scurry around the backfield, whip it, find someone. And with Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, you thought this would be even more dangerous this year. And what this team turned into was check down nation. James Conner ended up leading the team in receiving yards with 49. So it's not what you want when you got some guys on the outside that can make some plays. On the other side, Bryce Young did what he had to do. 17 to 26, two touchdowns, 158 yards. Not super impressive, but um, they did enough to win an OT. It was gritty. Um, and I guess really Chuba just kind of carried that team today with 152 yards, two tutties. So um, that's all I saw there. It was interesting to me. Xavier Legette, I don't know if he didn't play, but he didn't catch a pass. So after, his debacle the other week against the Eagles, Bryce Young was like, I hate this guy. And um, last thing on this game that I
Maybe,
like is Thielen is, I don't even know how old this guy is, but it seems like he's damn near 40, but he still is just a playmaker. And, I think he's a great addition for someone like Bryce Young. That's like just, he's a safety blanket, he's going to catch it. And, in those games that have went to OT, like against the Bucks, Eagles, he just seems to find him in every big spot. So, just really cool to, see that kind of matchup, 50-year-old and 20-year-old.
yeah, maybe Xavier Legette had some bad chicken wings earlier.
I'm trying to see if he
You've
played.
seen that video, but um,
You see the one where he was talking about eating the raccoon?
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. He hunts and cooks up raccoons. So that dude is one interesting fella. But yeah, to back to this game. Um, I mean, Kyler threw again one of the worst picks I've ever seen. And I'm pretty sure they counted it. It looked like he was past the line of scrimmage, but I think your whole body has to be. Maybe his back foot was still on it. Or they didn't go back and review it. But Kyler just throws the dumbest interceptions of all time, like literally like a punt is what it was.
Hmm.
And it was third down. I want to say they counted that because I looked at fantasy originally. I thought they took away the point. Then I was watching the screen. It looked like he was past the line of scrimmage, but then they never gave the point back from what I thought. So I might be wrong here, but yeah, either way, embarrassing game for the Cardinals to lose against the frickin' 3-11 Carolina Panthers. But Chuba Hubbard's a revelation right now for their rush game. So, and um, Jonathan Brooks tore his shit again, I think, out for the
Hmm.
season. And Chuba looks really good. So, Bryce Young looked, he threw two touchdowns. He missed uh, couple throws, I think, to where he could have put the game there and not had it go to OT. But um, it's, we'll give the Panthers their flowers for this game. And yeah, Thielen, dude, is still he's just a sure-handed receiver, dude. He makes some of the greatest catches, dude. He's got big mitts, so um, yeah, like to see that always. as a past Viking and a Minnesota native out of Detroit Lakes. He's a legend.
All right, so let's wrap that noon slate up, hop into the afternoon. Um, First game was the Vikings and Seahawks. Vikings won this one 27-24. I'll let you start here and then I'll give you a rebuttal to all your points.
Yeah, so this was a very entertaining game. Very back and forth. Vikings first drive, Aaron Jones looked explosive to start. It was good to see that, kind of refreshing. He was getting through his holes quickly and just bursting up the field, which was nice to see. Um, and then, Darnold is able to get a touchdown to Jordan Addison. And then the game was kind of back and forth. The Seahawks then I think went down the field and scored on a deep ball. I don't know if it was their first drive or their second drive. I want to say their second drive of the game. Deep ball to DK Metcalf. Maybe not that deep, but like a 30-yarder or something. DK Metcalf and him playing against Stephon Gilmore. Like I like having Stephon Gilmore. He was kind of getting cooked in and out. He's old for sure. He kind of holds a lot, or kind of has to, I think, because his speed probably isn't there anymore, and he's smaller. He got a little bit cooked, but he did almost pick off Geno. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was a very back and forth game. Obviously, the Vikings go up 17-7. Things are looking great. Looks like we might blow, we might start to, really pull away. And then the Seahawks, actually, I should just call it the Jackson Smith-Njigba drive, because he just cooked us on one drive and then scored a touchdown when the Vikings couldn't do anything with it in the 2-minute drill. And they were able to score, make it 14-7. And then coming out of half, it was again pretty close, like pretty back and forth. I can't remember if I think the Seahawks kicked a field goal, and then or did they score a touchdown? I can't remember exactly what happened in that part. They might have kicked a field goal to make it 17-17. Um, but it was a close game. It was a close game. It was a back and forth game. And then I do want to shout out Sam Darnold. I know that our own line didn't look that great in this game. They kind of we you know we haven't won in Seattle in like our last 10 games there. The only person on that team that's ever beaten Seattle in Seattle is was Sam Darnold, and he looked good in this game. I mean, he didn't look amazing, but he threw 3 touchdowns, didn't throw an interception. I will say our defense was a little too much bend, don't break, and we relied on turnovers. This has me worried a little bit going into the playoffs. We allowed Seattle to move the ball kind of at will at times, but we picked off Geno twice, and then I mean Darnold stepping up in the pocket. He was definitely banged up at the end there. You could see even after I think the first quarter, he had like a rip through his like compression pants that he wears, and just he got a twisted ankle, got pulled by the face mask. Doesn't matter. Stepped up in a big clutch moment for the Vikes and delivered a beautiful deep ball to Justin Jefferson, and that was basically game right there. So yeah, no, I understand why it was nowhere near as impressive as a win as you guys, Green Bay had the week before. This was basically, I feel like almost a win or go home game for the Seahawks though. So, I think they played maybe even a little bit harder in this one. I don't know if I can say that, but, I can't say that for a fact, but, a win's a win, 13-2, boom. Let's still tied for the one. So if we beat the Lions, I know we're playing teams close, but I was happy with a win there. It was very intense. All
Yeah,
right.
so it wasn't win or go home. They they play the Rams the last week of the season. They currently are down by one to them in the standing. So um, I guess that will be win or go home. So they definitely had a lot on the line, but I don't think it was any more than they did last week against the Packers. Um, I'll kind of talk more about this game when we discuss the this week's upcoming matchups, but just some things that kind of stuck out to me. Um, I outside of the first and last drive, the offense didn't look great. They had one more touchdown mixed in there, but they came out. They looked really good. It kind of looked like last week with the Packers, just dominating off the rip. Long touchdown drive took a lot of time off the clock. Got to stop, um, and from there it wasn't super impressive. It was bend don't break. Gino himself out of the game. Um, I don't think the Seahawks they just are kind of lacking identity at the moment. Um, didn't really run the ball well. Um, when they went to pass outside of Njigba, who had a decent game, um, they just were throwing the ball short. They're throwing the ball a lot of incompletions, um, a lot of check down. Well, I mean, Kenneth Walker had 8 catches out of the backfield for 28 yards, so it's kind of a interesting part. On the other side, the defense, I just don't see them being able to stop more high-powered offense. The pass rush didn't look great. 2 sacks. Van Ginkel is very good. I'll give it to that guy. He played really good. Um, Gilmore looked so old, it wasn't even funny. I texted you at one point, get this old guy out of the game. I mean, DK just sunned him like on that deep ball, and they never went back to it, and I don't get it. Um, I don't get what they're thinking on that side of the ball. Um, I mean, you should be throwing a deep ball to DK once or twice a quarter. You know what I mean? Give that and mix in to him underneath, too. Like this guy should be commanding 10 targets a game no matter what. This is one of the most explosive players in the NFL. He's huge. I mean, does he not remind you of Megatron? Like my, reminds me of Julio Jones. These guys that are insanely fast, are insanely big, and are like not human. We're not the same species. This guy is from some other planet. So I don't know what the Seahawks are doing. Um, I think they're kind of inept. Thought their defense, is mediocre. They didn't do a great job at stopping. Jefferson went off, looked really good again after a couple kind of slow games. But I'd really like to see more out of the Vikings being able to run the football. They just are struggling there, and it's turning. They're putting a lot of weight on Sam Darnold, in my opinion, to kind of go up there and do that. So um, we'll see if he can, keep playing that level. But um, kind of rambled on there. Just a lot of thoughts on that game. We'll talk about,
Yeah.
Vikings Packers more
Right.
here with their
Yeah.
matchup this week. But let's wrap that one up and move on. So next game here, let's talk about the Bills Patriots real quick. 24-21 here. I thought, Pats came out, looked really good, kind of went up 14-0. But you always had the feeling that the Bills were going to win that still. It wasn't convincing, but um, Josh Allen, I think, was pretty banged up at one point. He did something to his hand, couldn't feel it. I saw him in the post-game presser talking about losing feeling in that hand. So I don't know how much that impacted him throughout the game. James Cook, took over for him, and that was that. Couple, the Bills are one of those teams too, where when it's close at the end, it's hard to trust them because their coach is just a bona fide idiot. Um, he's always doing something that's really dumb. So, they ended up being able to prevail, but that game was pretty close. Drake May looked pretty good, so I don't know. I didn't really give this game too much weight in my opinion, but what do you think?
Yeah, this game was confusing in the beginning, honestly. Like all of a sudden Bills are down 14-0. Josh Allen just didn't look super accurate. One funny thing I saw, I don't have too many takeaways from this game. It kind of was what it was. Bills eventually were able to get it together, but one thing I did see from this game was there was a tweet from CBS NFL or NFL on CBS, and it was something like
The arm punt.
the arm punt, like Josh
Yeah.
Allen, like they're just glazing Josh Allen. I'm like, what the fuck?
I mean, that's
Um,
more on like that defender just being an idiot, like getting taken down to
oh,
one. All you gotta do is
y
stay there and you gotta throw
right.
anybody.
That's fair. That's fair. Um, and then also, dude, this is might have been my first time seeing Drake May like and paying attention. He looks fucking huge, bro.
Yeah, he's big.
These guys are big. Like him and Josh Allen. I would arguably say he looks taller than Josh Allen. I had to go look it up. Josh Allen is an inch taller compared, or according to Google, 6'5" versus 6'4". But yeah, I mean Drake May, like that was an impressive game. Out of Drake wasn't like anything great, but it was everything you would expect from or you would want from a quarterback that has a horrible, receiving core and a bad offensive line. Like he looks solid, hopefully they can get some more talent around him over there, but
I think he
I not
looks
too
bigger. He looks bigger because he's way skinnier. Like Josh Allen's so much thicker, like he's got that
yeah,
skinny, like fucking
that's true. He just looks like like kind of like a tree, basically, like a skinny tree or some shit. But
um yeah.
James Cook did look good. Had a big run, a couple touchdowns in that game. He had a big game of fantasy for me, so I like that. But
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like just looking through it, Josh Allen 16 of 29, and you're looking like I mean, James Cook caught it three times outside of that. Matt Collins twice, Knox twice, Shakir twice, Keon Coleman once, Cooper once. Like he just struggled to get people the ball. And like I said, I don't know how much of that was his hand. But they looked down to earth a little bit, but scraped out a win. So I don't they're cemented into that two seed basically. So I as long as they keep, no one they come out of the season with nobody getting majorly injured, I think that's really what they're looking for. Um,
for sure.
I do want to
Do
talk like
you have something else?
it was just Drake May, like he was impressive at not only throwing it down the field, but hitting people close, just mixing up who he's throwing it to. And, he was able to run the ball to 6 rushes, 30 yards, long of 13. So he's got the dual threat, that they need to really surround him. But I think, they got something, they at least got that part of their offense figured out for the next few years.
Yeah. No, he is a shining light amongst the doom surrounding him. Ramondre Stevenson is okay, and he's got some. I don't know.
Let's talk
Yeah,
about this game for just 2 seconds. Jags and Raiders. Um, I guess I didn't know AOC was playing, so I was pleasant surprise. They really kind of had control of this game outside of just allowing uh, Brian Thomas to go nuclear a couple times, who also is a stud. So, um, if I'm a Jags fan, I'm happy you lost, and you lost to the Raiders and pretty much traded spots with them in the draft. Um, and you found out you have I mean, I think it's known that he's been good, but I think he really looks like a star receiver and someone that you can build around. On the other side, Brock Bowers looked really good again. And I know, like I said, these people are professionals and they don't want to go out there and just completely tank. But I think in that scenario, like you just got to do it. So, um, moving on, what do you think?
yeah. I was literally only going to call out Brock Bowers because had him in two leagues, and he had 99 yards off of 11 catches. He had one drop, but yeah, he looked good. AOC was able to get him the ball. Um, I think Tank Bigsby had a costly fumble at one point, and then Brian Thomas was good as well. But yep, Jags 14, Raiders 19.
Yeah, and
The shit bowl.
this next game was kind of a stunner to me with Niners Dolphins. I
Mm.
guess the Niners found out before kickoff that they were eliminated, so maybe they didn't come out with all the juice in the world, but at the same time, this is a Dolphins team that's just not very good. Didn't really succeed in throwing the ball down the field again. And they just really let Achane go ballistic on them, both receiving and rushing. So I don't like blow up the Niners. They got to blow it up. Um, I don't know what they got to do, but they got to do something different. They struggle to run the ball. Purdy was their leading rusher with 26 yards. Um, Struggled to really throw the ball, I guess. He had a pick, and it seemed like every time he dropped back, he was under pressure. And this is a Dolphins team that's not, an elite pass rush team. I know they got Chop Robinson and Blaise Campbell, but um, it's a team that they should have. I really thought the Niners would win this game, and I'm really disappointed that they didn't. So,
Yeah. In my opinion, that's got to have something to do with them knowing they were eliminated. Um, but I don't know. The Niners have had these weird, like, just games where they look like dog shit, and it kind of seems like that's what they came out and did today. I mean, honestly, Brock Purdy had a lot of yards, man. He had 313, threw the ball 40 times. But yeah, they couldn't rush the ball because, everyone and their cousin is out in that RB depth chart. Everyone's hurt. I don't even know Patrick Taylor Jr. That's who that running
yeah,
back
he was their
is.
starter.
Never heard of him. Debo, you can give Debo a little bit of credit. He had a bit of a bounce back game. Kittle's good, but they're old, dude. Like they're a mix of old and young, and definitely just like lacking identity now without McCaffrey in there. Um, the Dolphins, like I wouldn't put too much weight on this win. Tyreek, dude, he had some drops, man.
Yeah,
He
he
had
struggled.
some bad drops, and we talked about that tweet last week, I think, about you know time to let me go, coach, or something like that. And I
Mhm.
think I heard about this. I think he was trying to say time to let me go, coach, not time to let me go, coach. But whatever. He doesn't look like himself at all this year. I know he is getting older though, but he did have some bad drops. I mean, a couple that probably were touchdowns if he holds on to the ball. I didn't have too many takeaways from this game though.
Yeah, I agree. Um, and then that leads us to the Sunday night game. Buccaneers 24, Cowboys 26. I just was shocked with the Buccaneers. This Cowboys D has been just horrible all year. I expected Baker to, kind of have his way a little bit more. Um, and they're playing for, the division. And they came out and they saw the Falcons take it to the Giants. Needed to win to stay in first place there. And now I believe the Falcons control their destiny. If they win both, they will win no matter what. Um, because they have the tiebreaker and the Buccaneers, they have an easy schedule remaining, but so do the Falcons. So let's talk about who the Falcons got. They have Commanders. I guess they got the Commanders Panthers. So hopefully the Commanders can beat them. I do have a future on the Bucks to win that division. And the Bucks are the Saints and Panthers left. So, two winnable games for the Bucks. And I don't know. I just was shocked at this game and Cowboys went up early, never gave it up. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Cooper Rush now 9-4 as a starting quarterback. I said it in our first episode. Is there a QB competition here? I mean,
I mean,
there's
for the money, I think so. You know what I mean? If you can save 60 mil a year and get a competent product out there, it's the Brock Purdy. Like,
yeah.
sure, they could go pay Kirk right now, 40 mil. Is he going to make their diff better? Probably not. Is he going to take money away from your
And
Fred
Cooper Rush kind
Warners,
of right.
stuff like
Cooper Rush kind of looks like a Cowboys quarterback in my opinion. He's got like a little bit of a beard. He's got like that ginger brown hair. Um, he reminds me of I don't know why, but he looks like a Cowboys QB. But no, like getting into it actually, I was very impressed with the Buccaneers run defense. I didn't know they were that good, man. Dowdle didn't have a chance, dude. He didn't stand a
Vita Vea
chance.
just kills people, dude.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know that their rush defense was like that. But yeah, Vita definitely has a big impact on that. Baker didn't play. He probably turned. They had a few too many turnovers. He took some sacks. Um, you know, I will say the whole game changed when that pick was thrown to Jalen McMillan down the field. That just got stripped out of his arm by the defender. I can't remember the Cowboys defender name, the safety, I want to say. It was Jalen McMillan and him, and they both kind of went up for it in the end zone and looked like McMillan had caught it, and then he got stripped of it. But that's kind of when the outcome of the game, I think, was maybe not changed, but more solidified because it was what 17-26 before that.
Mhm.
Um, but it was a CD had a good game, 7 receptions, 105 yards. I mean, nothing too impressive out of either team in this game. Both teams are still alive, but yeah, you would like the Bucks to maybe have a convincing win or like be able to put a streak together, and string some wins along, especially against a team like the Cowboys who are like all but dead and now like barely. Wait, did you say they are eliminated? I
They
can't
are
remember.
limited.
Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about this earlier, but yeah, it was. To be honest, I was Christmas shopping for half the game too, so I would only watched like the second half and the fourth quarter. But unfortunate loss for the Bucks here, and yeah, that Dallas defense was surprisingly decent against what you'd think it'd be an elite, Buccaneers offense, but
And their
I don't know.
defense is still missing a lot of people.
Also,
But
very brutal fumble by Rashad White at the end of the
yeah.
game there. So,
Yeah, I mean
but
Dallas's defense is still missing a lot of people, but they managed to, put a lot of pressure on Baker. Um, I don't know. They just really struggle when things don't go their way, kind of, the Buccaneers, it it gets to like Baker scrambling around and looking uncomfortable, and he'll make some plays like on certain days he looks insane doing that. And like last night he looked, just uncomfortable, tripping over his own guys and stuff. Um, I don't know. It's just there's like two sides of Baker. It's like that just vibing Baker, kind of like when they're down, he's just like kind of vibing, slinging it, and when they're, like I don't know, it's weird, but
yeah,
um
he gets a lot of, I've had him as my fantasy quarterback all year. He gets a lot of points in the run game. Like I didn't realize he's utilizing his legs more than he has ever, just because he's a fucking unit, dude. He's hard to take down,
little
and
pit bull.
he's quick, So he's got some some dual threat, um, you know, like scariness factor to him there. So
Yeah, Collinsworth said
worth
last night too. He has more rushing yards this year than he does in his career. So, he kind of added that ability to take off. So,
for sure, for sure.
um, but yeah, that's the Sunday, Saturday, Thursday slate of NFL. One game we're recording on a Monday, so just talking about the Monday night game. I mean, there's not a ton to talk about. Packers are 14.5 point favorites. Um, Not sure if they'll cover that, but I will say they're going to win this football game. It's in Lambeau. It's currently snowing here in Wisconsin, very cold. Um, I saw a report that the Saints were going into the cafeteria freezer to prepare for this. So, they're trying to,
So
yeah, they're taking Rattler in there and running through play calls and stuff while they're freezing. So, it's just another animal to come to Lambeau in this time of year. Not a lot of teams are built for it outside of, maybe the Ravens. I'd be scared of the Ravens. I'd be scared of the Eagles, teams that are smash mouth. But
mhm.
Saints team, no Kamara, um, no quarterback,
No Derek
no
Carr, yeah.
receivers. Um, they're just gonna have the only way the Saints win this game is maybe five interceptions and two pick sixes, So
It
I
would
don't
have to be an all-time collapse by the by the Packers, and I don't see that happening at all. I think you guys win this game
I think this is
quite
one I
handily.
think this is one where it's starters are out in the third quarter. So
Yeah. His Rattler's got to be starting over that other guy, Hayner.
yeah, and the Saints are just
Got
beat up, dude. Like,
so beat up, dude. Yeah, the only thing I have is I cannot have Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Kendra Miller,
Kendrick,
their
yeah.
ru their running back, go for 24 combined points. Otherwise, I won't make it to one of my fantasy championships. So a little
I,
concerned there, but Valdez-Scantling is still questionable, and it's in Lambeau, and like you said, it's snowing, so it'll be interesting. It'll be probably pretty close. It's going to come down to the wire. Pray for me.
all right, so that is week 16 in the NFL. We got some matchups of week 17 that are all right. I love, when we get to this time of year and it seems like there's a game on every night. We got some Christmas action, some Thursday, day after Christmas action, got some Saturday games, and then, you got some Sunday games. So just I love that, spread it out, gives you something to watch every night.
Yeah,
But
this
we'll
is our
kind of
Christmas
just,
episode.
yeah, recap week 16. Obviously, there's one more game tonight, but just gonna go through, our power rankings. I'll kick this one off. I got Lions at the one spot, I think, with the Eagles losing. The Lions looking pretty solid, well, missing some parts of their team. I'm just gonna throw them in there for now, at one till proven otherwise. Secondly, I got the Chiefs. Um, just on the back of the Bills having a little bit of a struggle with the Pats and the Chiefs taking care of business against the Texans. I'm gonna put them at two, Bills at three. I think those are pretty interchangeable. Those are the two AFC powerhouses right now. At four, I'm gonna put the Ravens. I think they showed that they are able to beat some decent teams. The Steelers aren't the greatest. They're a contender though, in my opinion. And they took it to them. Five, Eagles. Like I said, just be interesting to see how they bounce back. Might not have Hurts this week. Lost a game where the defense really got exposed by a young QB. Six, I'm going to take the Packers. I think they have arguably the highest ceiling of any team, but also probably the lowest floor, where Jordan Love could throw three picks or he could be flawless and just dice you up. I think, you know, because of that, nobody wants to play him, but also they could get beat by the worst team in the NFC at any time. So, seven, Steelers. I think, they're on the cusp. They have the experience, they have the players, they have the defense to do some stuff. But at the end of the day, that offense just has to do more. They have to take care of the ball better. They're not a team that can give the ball away and make up for it. But when, TJ Watt, that pass rush is there, they can really make it tough on anybody. So that's my top seven. Eight, put in there is the Vikings. They're hanging around, they're winning games. Um, but questionable defense, and just kind of how long can Sam Darnold do it? So that's my top eight.
Okay, okay. Fair enough, fair enough. I like parts of your list. I hate other parts, but no, it's not a bad list at all. For me, I got the Chiefs at one. Um, yeah, Chiefs are the Chiefs. They look like Super Bowl favorites as they have been since the beginning of the season. Seems like they're rounding into form. They can't lose. Explains itself. Lions, I am throwing them back in there. I know they just played the Bears. So, maybe it's a little bit of jumping to conclusions that their defense can still be formidable, but their offense is still electric regardless of the injury to Montgomery. So it's going to be a shootout, whoever they play. Bills, really an unimpressive win, or not, yeah, unimpressive win this week against the Patriots, but I think um, they deserve to be there based on their record. Ravens, a couple big wins last few weeks. Very impressive win over the Steelers last week, and yeah, I think they're starting to solidify and kind of find their groove here at a right time. Five, I'm going to go Eagles. I did have the Eagles power rank number one last week. Tough loss to the Commanders though, and they kind of lost a chance, or not all hope, but there's not that much hope left for the one seed for them. So, and Jalen Hurts now out with a concussion. You would hope he's back next week, but you never know. And then Vikings, I'm still going to have them at 6. They're just right outside my top 5. I just think that they had an opportunity to kind of to close out that game in a much simpler fashion against the Seahawks. Like you said, the defense didn't look great. On the road, I do have my concerns. At home, they're a wagon still. Sam Darnold continues to play extremely well and surprise us all. Packers 7. Next week we play you guys, so that'll be very telling of where our power rankings look after that. But then round it out. I did throw the Chargers in there. I think they might get Dobbins back next week, and they had a big win over the Broncos, and the Broncos, they're not a joke. The Broncos aren't a joke by any means. They were kind of hot coming into that. So tough loss for them. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the biggest drop I think was for me is the Steelers. A couple bad losses in back-to-back weeks. I know no George Pickens, but Wilson hasn't looked that great. Kind of seems to be making some mistakes and taking some sacks. So that's kind of where I sit at.
Sweet. Um, week 17, the Christmas game, one of them is Chiefs Steelers. And I guess just to talk about this one a little bit, I mean, this is that game for the Steelers, the bounce back. Don't want to lose 3 in a row. You're playing, the AFC champion the last 2 years, Super Bowl champion. So I'm really excited to see how they manage that. I don't know if Joey Porter is seriously injured. That'd be a big loss on their back end. He's a great player. But just kind of curious, good Christmas game to watch and see are the, how how the Steelers hang with, the elite again. They got 3 tough games in a row here, and you can't really lose all 3 and expect to, build momentum going into the playoffs. So I think this is kind of uh, their chance to get back on track and build some momentum and also try to keep the AFC North locked up. What do you think?
Yeah. I think, yeah, this game's going to be telling of what the Steelers really are because if they can't hang around with the Chiefs in this game and at least make it a one-score game, they are doomed looking into the playoffs, in my opinion. But it's the Chiefs, so I predicted a Chiefs win in this game by probably I would say, around 6 points. I'm not going to say that, they're -6, but that's just kind of my prediction. It is in Pittsburgh, though. But yeah, should be a fun Christmas Day game. We'll see what happens here. It'll be a real big upset win, in my opinion, if the Steelers are able to win here.
Yeah, I think just one more note on this one. It's big that the Steelers locked up the playoffs when they did, because I mean the next game after this is the Bengals. So I mean theoretically they could easily lose 4 in a row going into it. 10-9. They were 10-3 a couple weeks ago. So um yeah, I guess that's just kind of one key point there. And the next game on Christmas is Ravens Texans. And just to go along with that Steelers game, this is big for the AFC North there. Who's going to come out on top? I think the Ravens handle this one. Texans are kind of reeling. They tanked out injury. I know they got Nico Collins still, but no Diggs. They're kind of losing players at will here on the offensive side of the ball, and the Texans haven't proven that they can block anybody. CJ Stroud's back there already running for his life, and when you drop weapons like that get open, it's tough. And the Ravens, they're getting healthy on D. I know for a while they looked like the worst pass D in the NFL, and they were. So they're starting to get healthy. Humphrey's back. And I think the Ravens just take it to Texans, if I'm being honest here.
Yeah, I kind of agree as well. I mean, it's tough for the Texans, man. They've just been without usually one or two, both of their, wide receiver 1 and 2, like all year. And then, t the new injury to Tank Dell. Now, you're missing your wide receiver 2 and 3, and you still got Collins, but it's tough for CJ Stroud. You really need those weapons, especially if you don't have time in the pocket to find someone downfield. So, and the Ravens they're hot right now for sure. That's why they're back in my top 10. So I am expecting the Ravens to win this game, probably by, I would say, 6 points maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ravens with this game.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a touchdown plus win for the Ravens, and the
Yeah.
Texans they're all right on defense. They got some big guys up front, and they do a good job. But I think the Derrick Henry is just gonna kind of wear them down, and then it's gonna be the Lamar Jackson show, and like usual.
Hmm.
Anyways, the next game I'm kind of interested in here is Broncos Bengals. This is a winner go home for the Bengals. Broncos are coming off a loss. So I guess I'm curious to see, how Bo Nix will play. That Bengals D sucks. So this could be a game where he kind of carves it up and makes me look back and, question what I said earlier this episode, where it just seems like he can't really feed the ball downfield effectively. Um, so looking forward to that. I think there'll be a ton of points in this game. And on the other side, the Bengals are going up against a good passing defense. And I'm just curious to see how, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Burrow play here, where they got some elite players on the other side they're going against. What do you think?
Yeah, I like the Bengals in this game. Again, you did mention Bengals defense is trash, but it's kind of looking like the Bengals, they might just fricking do it and flip history on its head and make the playoffs after the start of the season that they had. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, their offense is electric. Be interested to see how Bo Nix plays in this game, like you said as well. After a couple games that weren't maybe his best, and a couple or last week's loss against the Chargers. But yeah, this should be a good one. Looking forward to it. I'm predicting the Bengals.
And then we got game of the week, Packers Vikings just got flexed to the afternoon on Saturday or Sunday. Um, I'll let you start here. What do you think?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 325 it looks like. Game of the week at US Bank Stadium. I know you're going to this game, so I'll be interested to hear your analysis when you get back. But I think we should also do a prediction for this game, a final score prediction, and then go over it at the end. But yeah, I mean, this is a great game. I'm not going to say tell all game, but this game is going to tell us a lot about where both teams are heading into the playoffs here. The Vikings have definitely they've been solid all season. However, they have had some close losses. They started off really strong in the season, beating some worthy opponents, and then by handily, and then had a couple losses. Have beat some decent teams, some okay teams, but haven't really played a true contender until now. So I'm excited. I think Darnold should have a good game in this. I mean, when you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, I don't think you guys are going to be able to guard both at the same time. Not sure anyone can. So I'm excited to see what we can do on offense. I do think we're going to turn the ball over, or not turn the ball over. Get some turn takeaways from Jordan Love. We've done a good job picking off quarterbacks all season. I don't see that stopping here. You guys got to play. It's loud in the bank. I'm very curious. I am nervous about Josh Jacobs. He's an absolute wagon, so that'll be interested to see. But yeah, my prediction for this game is 30-27 Vikings. So
I think there are some key points that need to be talked about in this game, particularly offensive and defensive lines here. Um, we're talking about a Packers team that just sacked the Seahawks 7 times. Um, and the Vikings managed to sack them twice, and that was all Van Ginkel. So I don't see the Vikings pass rush really being able to disrupt a lot of these, very intricate plays that LaFleur calls. Um, Jordan Love, kind of really finding a groove, spreading it out. I know we don't have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, but instead of that, there's five guys that can kind of, do it all. Um, and like I said, the 7 sacks against the Seahawks, just, you know, is Darnold going to be able to sit back there and throw those Hail Marys to Jefferson? Um, I think that's something really to keep an eye on. And I think the Packers pass defense is kind of underrated, especially now that Cooper's back. I think we'll see that tonight. That having a middle linebacker that can run the field with slots, tight ends is invaluable. Just gives another layer to that defense. Jair should be back as well, so he'll be covering one of them all game. And then obviously we got McKinney, who's arguably the best safety in the league. So I'm not super concerned with that. The Vikings have really struggled to run the ball. Packers have elite talent up front, really, between Gary, um, you know, Kenny Clark, TJ Slayton, just Lucas Van Ness, just some huge guys, Devontae Wyatt. Um, don't see the Vikings being able to run the ball effectively. And really the separator between the last time they played and now is, the Vikings were up what, like 24-0 in the first half. Just the Packers went through a phase of spotting teams a bunch of points and trying to make it a game after that, which is really tough to do. So, if it's a close game to start and they don't spot the Vikings again, 24 points, whatever it was, I don't know how the Vikings managed to win this game, to be completely honest with you. I'm going to predict a 30-17 victory by the Packers.
Wow. Wow, a 13-point margin there.
Yeah, I'll just remind you like what happened last time at US Bank Stadium. It was a Packer takeover, to say the least. Um, that game was over in what, the first quarter?
We were
So,
starting Jaron Hall. Jaron fucking Hall, a
okay.
rookie practice squad quarterback.
I
But
mean,
yeah, it was a horrible game. That was the worst game I've ever watched. I don't want to talk about that game.
yeah,
This is a whole new team. This is a whole new team.
Jordan Love's elite playing in domes also, by the way. So, um,
Yeah, well, I don't think you didn't mention Jonathan Grenard, and I
yeah, because
understand
he didn't
that he
show up this week. Like, is he
that's
going to
fine.
show?
He, 1 week, he still has, I don't know, 11 and a half, 10 and a half sacks on the season. He's still I mean he
What I was trying to
destroyed Caleb
make
Williams on a strip sack, and absolutely I'm surprised he didn't take his arm off. So
the only
you
point I
know,
wanted to make there was that the Seahawks offensive line gave up 7 sacks the week before and gave up two to the Vikings to both the same player. So that was really the point I was trying to make there was that um,
well,
a team that has really struggled to block somehow found their groove against a elite pass rush.
I didn't say it was an elite pass rush. I mean, we just throw a lot of things at you. So, and I think Jordan Love, maybe a little bit of being a younger quarterback, a little bit of inexperience. Sometimes we might be able to confuse him and force him to throw a ball. I do see us picking off Love in this game. So,
Yeah, no, I
but
see
it will
that
be
too.
it will be a good game.
I see a couple turnovers on both sides, to be honest with you. It's
Yeah,
just
it
as
will. It will. You're not wrong though. I mean, a lot of it will come down to can we block? Can we run the ball in this game, and can we block against your guys' pass rush? I mean, that is supposedly elite, but yeah, I'd like to see it.
Jair missed the first game as well. So, just another, I mean, what is he? At least top seven corner. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's top five because he doesn't seem to play a ton. But
Yeah.
it's just another when you have that side of the field mostly locked down, it's just a big help to funnel people into, Xavier McKinney, who leads the NFL in picks. So, um,
Yeah, and
I,
we'll probably have to lead with this game next week, so you'll get a good recap from us and see whose prediction was correct.
yeah. So just to throw it out there, I'm seeing Minnesota by 1 at home. Um, typically get you 3 points. So what I'm reading is neutral field, the Packers are 2 points better. So just to put that in perspective for you.
Yeah, whatever.
Um,
We'll see at US Bank.
yeah, I'll be there. I'll document it for everyone on this pod. I'll come back with
We should get a live check-in from Kevin.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, we need a live check-in. I think we need the Snapchat video.
I'll
And
do I'll just do I'll vlog it and we'll put that on our account. We'll make a borderline sports um burner, basically a borderline
yeah, just
sports second
all
account, alt
media.
borderline sports alt, and I'll just fucking vlog my day. I'm really
Sounds
excited though.
good,
It got
bro.
moved to the
Yeah,
afternoon because that
that
noon
is
was kind
dope.
of throwing me off.
That is sweet. Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
It just happened earlier today.
Nice.
Um,
Good. Well, good stuff, man.
yeah,
I'm
no,
excited for that game. Can't say I'm not nervous. I'm sure you have some nerves as well, but uh,
I think just being, the Vikings are really trying to prove it. The Packers, you know what you're gonna get in terms of, I mean, they're gonna make the playoffs. The Vikings are gonna make the playoffs too, but the Vikings haven't shown that they're gonna, beat a team at this point in the year. I know they beat the Texans early in the year. That was a great win, but recently it's kind of been scraped by teams and just misleading games at the end of the day. So, but
can't complain about 13-2. But yeah, I
and
know a lot of one score
and
games.
we talked about, in my opinion, the Packers have absolutely the lowest floor of most of the playoff teams where they could come out, Love could throw 4 picks and, not even competitive. But on the other side, they
Lowest
probably
ceiling, you mean?
they probably
Or
have the highest ceiling in terms of,
oh, and the lowest floor. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
yeah. So like they could be the worst team in the playoffs, but at the same time, they could be the most dangerous. They're just volatile like that. This is the team that could, like I said, run people like they did a couple years ago in 2012 from the sixth seed, if I'm not mistaken, and win the Super Bowl, or they could get bounced in the first round. So, um,
Well, this is basically a playoff game here. So, two division rivals going head to head. We'll see who comes out on top, but let's keep it going here.
yeah. So we got Cowboys Eagles is kind of the next marquee-ish game. And I think I say that just because, the Eagles are coming off a tough loss, another division opponent, a team playing with nothing to lose that, you know, they they want to win for bragging rights. They're not, competing for that top pick. So it's like, what's the point in just tanking? We're gonna come out here, we're gonna let Cooper Rush show the ball. And I really, really need to see something out of the Eagles here in terms of fight on that defensive side. Um, you're going against Cooper Rush and you're going against a Cowboys D that isn't great outside of a couple players when they get into those third and longs. Your Micah Parsons. Um, I know Overshown hasn't played, he didn't play last week, but he's that same type of player. Golston's the same type of player. Um, so, is Saquon, I think this could be a Saquon game for sure. In terms of if Hurts doesn't play, he's going to get the ball 30 times and it's going to be, can they stop him? So that's kind of my takeaway or my expectation for this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think if Hertz plays in this game, it's not particularly close, honestly. But if he doesn't play, I mean, you got the Cooper Rush, Kenny Pickett game. Like, it is probably going to come down to Saquon. I think Cooper Rush probably gets overwhelmed by that Eagles defense. But it, yeah.
I
If Jalen Hurts plays, I don't think this is a close game, to be honest, man. But
I kind of agree.
the Cowboys have looked like in the last. I mean, they must be on like 4 game win streak, 3 game win streak, something like that. They've been winning some games here in a row,
They're
so
4-1 in their last five.
it's pretty good. Um, but I don't want to discredit the Eagles here. Otherwise, I'll get yelled at by a friend of the pod. I've gotten yelled at by a couple friends of the pod for discrediting the Eagles.
If Kenny Pickett's starting here, I'm taking the Cowboys to win outright. And I
I
think
guess
that's
we'll know by um,
that'd probably be a
probably
Saturday thing.
Maybe Saturday, so right before. But yeah, we'll see. All right,
And I
let's.
mean, Kenny
Oh, wait,
Pickett
got
got
something else?
hurt too, so
Did he?
yeah,
Who's their third string?
he's got a rib injury and will undergo further testing today. Um, I don't even know who their
I
third is.
did see that happen. Actually, I remember that he was kind of pulling his arm back like this and like wincing in pain. So, um, yeah, I remember that happening. Huh?
I want to see who their
I think it kind of happened on that fumble where it was called back, and they said he was just kind of trying to shovel past it.
they,
Um,
they got Tanner McKee at the third string, second year guy out of Stanford. So yeah, I mean, even if Pickett plays, or yeah, I get Pickett's named the starter. I'm taking the Cowboys money line straight up. I think it's
yeah.
going to be a nightmare for their QB and like coming in hurt too. Take a couple hits. Next thing you know, you got Tanner McKee calling the shots back there. Good luck.
Our
Um,
Eagles friends of the pod are gonna hate this.
I mean, it's just realistic. If Hurts plays, they win the game. If he doesn't, it's going to be a hurt Kenny Pickett, dude. Like he's already Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, we'll see.
Falcons Commanders move on. This game's big. Commanders are currently one game back of the Packers for the sixth seed. Um, they're trying to win. You got the Falcons who are currently leading the division. They have to win basically because the Bucks schedule is so easy. So I'd really like the Commanders to win here. Um, not because I like them being one game back of the Packers, but because I have, like I said, the Buccaneers to win that division. So looking at that, honestly, best case, let's hope this game ends in a tie. What do you think
Uh,
about what are you looking at that?
um, it's hard for me to make a prediction on this game just purely off the fact of we only have one game of footage from uh Michael Penix. However, I'm I still like the Commanders, I think, but the Falcons defense has been kind of good and they have been scoring touchdowns. I know they've had not played the greatest opponents their last couple games. I think the Raiders and the Giants, but they have had some even a big play threat on their defense. And the Commanders turned the ball over 5 times last game, so that could come into play here. But yeah, that's a good Sunday night game. If I'm gonna take a winner here, I'll probably ride with the Manders, the Salamanders. But yeah, no, I I have a hard time, really taking a prediction here.
I
I'd
know when
probably go
I
with the Commanders. I mean, Jaden Daniels proved something, I think, in that, and I think he'll come in with more to prove even in this game, like or just with supreme confidence because that's a big win over the Eagles. I mean, I know it's Kenny Pickett, but he still had a walk off touchdown. So,
I'm gonna
um,
be taking the over in this game, I think. I think Phoenix is he's gonna be able to chuck it around, and I think, Jaden Daniels is gonna put up points. And the Falcons D, I know they've scored those touchdowns, but they've been fucking terrible on the back end all year.
mhm.
I think this is a McLaurin game too. I'd probably take some props for him just in terms of, they're known to get beat deep. They don't I mean, you watch the Vikings game, dude. What were they doing on two of those
Yeah, no,
touchdowns?
I think
Like,
they've probably only looked good because they've played the Raiders and the Giants. But if they can get takeaways, potentially, they're just a little they got a little they're just a mini hot streak, mini hot streak of scoring scoring on defensive plays here. So
yeah,
and the
I'm
Commanders do turn it over, but we'll see.
yeah, I'm taking the fucking over in that. I think Phoenix lights up Washington's pretty mid defense as well. Um, last interesting game is the Monday night game, Lions and Niners. This is only interesting because, Lions win and they play Minnesota week 18 for what would be the one seed, I believe. This is barring a Packers win. So Packers win, Vikings aren't able to get the one seed because the Lions have the tiebreaker over them due to division records. So, um, Lions can almost basically lock it up here at the end of the day. So, um, that's just why I'm interested in this one. And they're playing a Niners team that has nothing to play for. I don't understand. This line is 3.5. So I already took the Lions to win this game by 3.5 because, that they just like to run the score up too at the same time. It's not like one of those teams that's just gonna win by three. They're gonna go out there and win by 10, in my opinion.
Yeah, it would be nice if the Niners had something to play for in this game. Would make it a whole lot more competitive. And what happens? Actually, I don't want to get into hypotheticals just yet. But yeah, I mean, I definitely like the Lions in this game. The Niners, they're the ones that knocked out the Niners in the NFC Championship last year. So the Niners might even become, or the Lions might even be coming for some revenge. This could be ugly game, but I could, if at least it's at home for the Niners and the Lions defense sucks. I don't know. I still think the Lions win this game handily here. We'll see though. I mean,
Yeah,
it has a potential if the Niners show up and they want to play this game and they want to at least put out a decent product and go into the go go into the off season with at least some confidence that or a good feeling, then they should go out and try hard. But this could be an ugly game as well. I honestly am not sure here, but I would assume the Lions win this game quite handily.
it is worth noting too that should the Packers win win out and the Vikings lose to the Packers and Lions, the Packers would actually jump the Vikings for the fifth seed. So that's worth noting. So I guess that was, week 16, week 17 look ahead. Really interested to see the Packers Vikings game and see how, things shake out at the end of the week. I guess, do you have any final thoughts? Anything to say to the people?
Look ahead to our potential first in-person episode coming next week as my co-host here, KB, will be in town and I will be as well. So if we are able, no guarantees just yet, but if we are able, we might have an in-person podcast for you guys. So that should be exciting.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, just happy holidays to all of you. Have a safe travel, enjoy time with family, drink plenty of whatever you want and eat all the food you want, open presents, it's a great time. So
Yeah.
but no, I don't really got anything else. How about you?
No, just Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we will see you soon. So
Yep.
peace.
Peace.